Okay, so I set a challenge to try using the avalanche coordinates to plot the exact locations of all avalanches that took place in the 2022-23 hydrological year. I suggested using the Canton map that we already created and GeoMSF to plot these avalanche locations. If you wanted a bonus challenge, which I hope that some of you are up to it, you can color the points based on the number of people that died in each avalanche. As a hint, I included a piece of code that you'll need to transform the latitude and longitude variables in the avalanche dataset to SF geometry. So that includes using the st as SF function. In the example code, I'm suggesting that you'll use the subset of the data, so only the 2022-23 hydrological year. You'll need to specify which variables correspond to the longitude and latitude variables in the data set to tell the STSSF function how to actually plot these coordinates. And I'm also saying that the projection for this transformation should be our kind of standard projection. So I'm specifying that CRS will be equal to 4326. Okay, so the first thing that I did to make this map as part of this challenge was to select only rows in my avalanche data set that had a hydrological year of 2022/23. So to do that, I just used the subset function on my original avalanche data set, and I saved that as a new object called avalanche 2223. Just to keep the data cleaner, this is not something that's entirely necessary, but just helps kind of keep track of everything that you will be using. I just selected the variables of interest. So that included my start zone coordinates latitude, longitude, the number of people who died, the shape name, and the avalanche ID. And because these default variable names that came with the data that I downloaded are kind of long and annoying to type out, I just renamed the variables for ease and to be consistent with what we've been calling some of these things throughout the tutorial. So I've specified that the latitude will be called lat, the longitude will be called long, number of people who died will be num_dead. I'll keep shape name as is and just shorten avalanche ID to ID. Now comes the part where I'm using that hint code that I provided with this STSSF function. I'm using just my subset data, so the avalanche 22-23. I'm specifying which variables are making up my coordinates. So like I said, you'll want the longitude variable first and then the latitude variable second. And just the way that I selected these variables means that longitude is actually the second column and latitude is the first column. And then I'm just specifying my standard projection space of 4326. So now I have a new data frame called avalanche_SF, and that's my new SF object. And if I actually go and look at that data set, I can see that I have 4 variables. The first is number of people who died. The shape name is the canton where the avalanche took place. The ID is the avalanche ID. And then I have a new geometry column that says point and has the latitude and longitude coordinates of that avalanche. So using this geometry point, I can actually plot all of the points of the avalanches using GeoMSF in my ggplot. So that's exactly what I did. I first, on top of the existing Canton GeoMSF that we already plotted, I added a new GeoMSF using this avalanche SF data set. And I'm just telling ggplot that I want the color of each of these points to be based on the number of people who died. And the size of my point should be size 2, so just making them a little bit bigger. I also included my coord SF and theme void arguments just for ease of plotting and to make sure that the coordinates are being recognized appropriately. And I included the same scale color gradient with the low number of people who died in each avalanche being kind of a beige and the high being the same kind of dark orange. I also added a little bit of information to my theme, just specifying some changes to the legend and background of the plot that I wanted to make. So if I run this section of ggplot code, then I can see that I have a new map of Switzerland plotted. I have my cantons plotted, this time black being kind of the fill color and white being the outline color. And then each of these points reflects a different avalanche that happened in 2022, 2023. And I can see that there are a number of kind of darker red spots indicating more than one person tragically died in each of these avalanches. And then I have a bunch of these kind of grayish white spots that indicate an avalanche happened, but no one died.